Hi, and welcome back to the Wicked Thrifter Resale channel. We're back at it, out at some of our favorite Goodwill locations, looking for some items that we can buy and sell on eBay for a profit. As usual, in most of our videos, we hit up a couple different Goodwills, at least a couple. This is our first find on our shopping thrifting trip this day. It was $4.99, and it's a set of Rollo Pottery coasters and sea turtles on there. They do generally well for me. A last pair I sold for $32 plus shipping. This should do fairly similar in price. This is just an ornament, Mount Vernon. It reminded me of the White House ornaments that they have, that they give out, and this may be one of those. But I chose to leave it behind. I tend to have these and then sit on them for a while and not get them listed. Generally, I'll pick up all Fontanini or Depose Italy figurines. The prices at Goodwill have gone up a lot, so this $6.99 price tag hindered me from picking it up. I ended up leaving it behind. These weren't priced very high. They're $4.99 each, but they're both identical. Very similar paint jobs on them, and I didn't see the value. The more ornate clay masks do fairly well for me. Some vintage pottery there. A swan, a lot of precious moments. Some tiles. A water globe. Picture frames, a basket, not a ton. Here was a couple items that I picked up that weren't caught on camera, and this was another location. This, I believe, was a Moravian tile. The Huntsman was the name on the ticket. I ended up grabbing that. That was a nice little find. It should sell fairly well. And then I also grabbed this art pottery piece. Regal, I believe, is the name. And that also has a nice return on investment. It wasn't priced very high, and it should get a decent amount for it. It's like a Picasso style painting. Here we're at a different location again. This is one of the locations they like to price items up. They have a curated section toward the front that they generally put all of their vintage items. Initially, I grabbed this fused glass art tray. It's signed there, you can see. They wanted $12.99 each for these two, and this was also another fused glass piece. I thought this might have been Peggy Carr, but you saw there that it had McGrath, I believe is the name. I ended up putting both of those back because they were pretty much at retail price. They wanted $12.99, and generally you can get $12 to $18 for those pieces. I really like these art pottery fish hooks, but again, they had the price pretty high, so I didn't think I could get much in the way of profit for those. I thought that was glass. Actually, it was plastic. And here's the vase section. And this, I was looking to see if there was a signature, and there wasn't. This was quite large, a really big chicken shelf sitter. It was like a really lightweight wood. I ended up leaving that behind. They wanted, I think, $30 for it. This is another part of that end cap where they put higher price items in their opinion. On the shelf there. Here's some more studio pottery. I initially grabbed this and put it in the cart. I've been being more selective on the pottery that I do pick up in general. I also grabbed this basket initially to look it over and see if there was a signature. I usually grab all baskets that have a signature on them. That one did not. This was a nice little find. I do pick this up. It's a vintage desk organizer. It's freestanding. You can have it sit on your shelf or your desk or like a table. It's a little primitive. Sometimes that sells decently for me. But little furniture pieces like this generally are easy to ship and definitely get a decent profit for them when they do sell. I love my art pottery mugs. This one was signed, but there was a little too much crazing on the inside for it to be useful, so I ended up putting that back. And this was a little crystal egg. I looked up the resale on these as well, and for $3.99, generally they only sell for about $12 to $18. End up putting that back as well. There were quite a few listed. That was just a mass-produced piece, and I snapped this up. This is Front Avenue Pottery, $2.99, 18 to 24 bucks. They sell fairly fast, and I grabbed that. I really liked the pattern on this one. That was a hobbyist nativity set. A lacquer type bowl. I thought that was interesting. They each had a little designated section. Celery, fish, I believe, probably sardines, but I put that back. And that was a mass-produced piece as well. It's definitely vintage glass, but there's some scratching on the bottom. And those style bowls don't tend to sell for me. Well, I actually have a few listed that have been sitting down there for probably over a year. So I'm trying to clear those out before I buy any more of those. And I'm sure the prices come down on them for what you can sell them for. I grabbed this right away. It's a Viking three-toed or three-footed flower light or floral frog. They sell pretty well. I love my Deneen pottery. Here's another decanter vase that I grabbed. And these mugs are still there. It hurt me to leave them behind again, but unless they're a really unique color or a nice pattern, or I don't know, you have to have something distinguishing and then grab them. I scooped this up. It's a Salmon Falls little crock, personal custard or bowl, candy dish, whatever you want to use it for. They don't sell for a ton of profit, but I like the salt glaze, and I grabbed this as well. This is by Maple City Pottery, and it says, I love baskets. And I know a lot of people this would apply for, so I thought this was kind of cute, a little novelty piece that I grabbed. Here's another Renaissance type mug. This wasn't any specific Renaissance fair, but there was damage on the handle there and some cracking. I ended up leaving that behind. It was a wizard mug too. Those sell very well for me, so I was kind of bummed. Here I'm checking out the figurine section at this store. There was not a ton to look at, and a lot of this stuff has been hanging around for a minute, so just hoping that maybe I learn a little bit more as time goes on, and sometimes you can find more and more pieces to pick up. It's a dragonware piece, but it's a souvenir one. I left that behind. The dragonware with is it lithophane? Usually like a hidden picture in the bottom of the cups do fairly well. Sometimes you'll have them on bottom of plates, etc. But I don't run across those very often. A gargoyle. That actually picked up, and it was lightweight. It was like not, ceramic or heavy, so I left it behind. I'm getting some feedback there. I apologize. Some hobbyist pottery down there. That looks like an Italian pottery or a Portugal canister, but it's pretty large and it'll take up a lot of space, so I didn't even bother looking at it. Little cherry plates. I think they had 2 of them there. Not a ton. A little chicken planter. Ended up leaving that. And then I spotted this horsehair pottery down at the bottom. I love horsehair pottery. This is actually a nice and neatly signed, and you can read it. The artist on this piece is Natalie Jeter, I believe is how you say her name. It was only $6.99, so it was a great price point to get in on it, and it should sell for a decent profit. I also scooped up this little art pottery piece. It probably is more of like a studio pottery piece, but it was cute, and I liked the pattern on it of the embossed flowers or leaves. If there had been more of these little fish, I would have grabbed them up, but a single one doesn't do well for me. They sell better in pairs or sets, so I left that behind. I do take this with me. It was $10.99. I was a little bummed to find when I took that sticker off that it was actually at a cheaper price at one point. Go figure. But these are a nice little decor piece if you like the rustic or like cabiny feel. This was a fun find. It is signed on the bottom, and these are like a speckled stoneware. It's like a head vase. I'm not even going to attempt to say the first name, but the last name is Cox Studio Pottery, and they tend to sell for a good amount. And this was also a really fun find as well. I don't find Van Briggle very often in the thrift store, usually at antique malls or estate sales. I'll find it, but I found that, and it was only $3.99, and it should sell for a good amount as well. This intrigued me. It looked like an art pottery piece, but I wasn't sure if there should have been a lid. Ended up leaving that behind. There wasn't a whole ton in the vase section. Just moving that to see if I can get a better look at that. Not much in the glass. This cup looked interesting. I was hoping it was Deneen pottery, but it wasn't. And this, too bad, there was damage on it. It had a decent price there from originally where it was sold, but it was large and it was taking up a lot of room on the shelf. I grabbed this. Even though the clock part is damaged, you can replace that fairly easily with a real cheap replacement piece. They only wanted $6.99 for it. I haven't come across something like that, and it was signed, and I thought, it would be worth taking a shot on it. I also found these on a shelf. Generally, Jim Shore is overpriced at the thrift store for what they want, but I've never seen these garden gnome type figurines. So I decided to give them a shot at $3.99. You can't go wrong. Generally, the lower end items will even sell for enough to cover it, but these will be, closer to $20 each. So I grabbed all three. I really liked this. My family is a little fish obsessed, and these are, I believe, catfish or koi of some sort, and it has a rough signature or initials on the back. I just thought it was cute. It'd be a nice little accent piece for somebody. Won't bring in a ton of money, but I thought it was worth picking up. And then I grabbed this. Candelabras do really well for me. This is like a centerpiece style. It has flowers, some metal flowers and some ceramic flowers. There's a little bit of cleaning that needs to happen, and at $12.99 there's still a decent profit there. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week. If you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments below. Otherwise, if you can, please like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Here is your recap. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.